I just have to tell you that I have tried recording this no less than 10 times. It is ridiculous at this point. And it's so funny. I just realized how ironic it is because here I am trying to record an episode all about self trust. And ultimately, the reason that I keep restarting this is because I am not trusting in myself to be able to make it through this episode. Oh my goodness. Please laugh with me. All right. Self trust, self trust, self trust. So I want to invite you to close your eyes with me and just tune in. And we are going to rate yourself from 1 to 10, one being the least, 10 being the most. And I want you to ask yourself this question: how much do I trust myself? And just close your eyes, just trust whatever number it is that comes up for you. There is no right, there is no wrong. This is just more information for you to understand where you're at today. Because today we're going to be diving into the reasons why you struggle to trust yourself. And let me be clear, this isn't about you never being able to trust yourself. We all have moments. We all have perhaps areas of our life where we feel extremely confident, right? I know some people who are just like super on it when it comes to their work and how they show up in their work and like stepping into their roles at work. And then when they get into their own personal lives, they're like, oh my gosh, how do I handle this? And what do I do? And what do I? We are all human. We all struggle with self trust in one way or another. And it's so important for us to be kind to ourselves about that. And I think that often and too often we aren't. We think like, oh my gosh, like get it together. Why don't you know this? Why can't you make this decision? Why don't you know what to do? And we get lost in judgment about the inability to trust ourselves. And also, so importantly, I don't think we really understand what self-trust is. And so we beat ourselves up and we don't deserve that. We're doing the very best we can. And so if you are someone who has ever in your life been like, oh my gosh, I've done so much work on myself, I've read the books, I've done the trainings, I've worked with the therapists, I've had the coaches, I'm intuitive, I'm capable, I'm self aware. Why do I keep second guessing myself? Then today's conversation is for you. And what's beautiful about this is in this conversation, we're going to really be pulling apart why you still struggle with this to really make that easier for yourself because self trust is huge. We need self trust. We need self trust to make the most of our life, to feel fulfilled. Like we need to be able to trust in ourselves. That is so huge. And yet, there's so many things working against us that prevent us from doing that. And so we're going to be talking about those things today so that you can give yourself some grace, some compassion. And then in our next episode, we're going to really be talking about how to build up that self-trust. And again, looking at it from a really different perspective. I think this is going to be really cool for you. I'm very excited. Hopefully, I don't have to re-record this time and we'll actually make it through. I'm winging it. I'm going for it. I'm doing it, even if it's messy. All right. So just hang with me. Before we dive in, if you are brand new, welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Anna Hendricks. I'm a spiritual guide, teacher, podcaster for over 6 years. And I work within higher dimensional frameworks of wisdom, specifically the Akashic Records, that allow people to see their lives with greater clarity, context, and understanding so that they can heal, fall in love with themselves, and ultimately return to who they are. So if you are interested in the Akashic Records, in self-love, in healing, which to me is all about returning to who you are, then come hang out, subscribe, be a part, share, do all the things, show all the love, please and thank you. Because I put so much work into this. I honestly love it. So I'm not going anywhere, but would love to have you. 2 things I would like to invite you to do, first and foremost, is to join my email list. Every Monday, you are going to get a channeled Akashic forecast message for the upcoming week, how to best navigate it, the energy that we're stepping into, plus so much more. And if you would like personal guidance from the Akashic Records, you can join my Akashic Guidance Circle being hosted on the 27th of this month, or you can book an Akashic reading with me. All links are below. All right. So, first and foremost, let's really talk about what self trust is. Because again, I don't think it's something that we fully understand. And honestly, even in the midst of putting notes together for today and like really leaning into this topic, I definitely even learned some things for myself. And it helped me to clarify some things for myself because nobody's perfect. Nobody's just walking around like, oh, I always trusted myself. This is just like how I move through life, right? But what's cool is that when we have some grace around why we struggle with this, then we're kinder to ourselves. And when we're kinder to ourselves and we move into that place of love, that actually helps us to open up. And so we do have more opportunity to think about, like, oh, okay, how can I shift from this not trusting to trusting in this scenario, right? So, again, let's first lay some foundational stuff here. Let's talk about what trust is not, okay? Self trust is not always knowing the answer, never questioning yourself, always making the right decision, being certain about the future, having perfect intuition, never asking anyone for advice, and refusing support. This is not self trust, okay? Self trust, and I want you to hear this, self trust is knowing that whatever happens, you will remain with yourself. And I want to say that one time because I think that's so beautiful. Honestly, there's like a sigh of relief inside of me that I feel when I say that. Self trust is knowing that whatever happens, you will remain with yourself, meaning you've got your back. You're going to be okay. You trust yourself, right? That's so much bigger. This is what self trust is. I trust myself to listen to what I'm feeling. I trust myself to tell myself the truth. I trust myself to make the best decision I can with what I know right now. I trust myself to change my mind when new information arrives. I trust myself to handle the consequences of my choices. Ooh, ooh, that's a big one, right? But what a powerful one. I trust myself to admit when I am wrong. I trust myself to take care of myself if something doesn't work out. And isn't that the ultimate? Because regardless of what area of life it covers, what thing it's about, it always comes back to, am I going to be okay if XYZ doesn't, hand quotations, work out, right? Because we're always so scared of what's going to happen if that happens. But when you trust yourself, you know you will remain with yourself. You know you're going to take care of yourself. You know you've got your back, right? And most people don't trust themselves to be okay. And that is why they struggle with self-trust overall. But again, we're going to dive into like the very specific reasons today. Give yourself a little bit of grace, give yourself some compassion because you truly are always doing your very best. So, first and foremost, our number one reason, we've confused self awareness with self trust. These are two different things. Self awareness is ultimately about information versus the access, which we've been talking a lot about. This is, to be very direct, the difference between knowing and feeling in our heart, right? Because you've probably spent a lot of time learning, reading things, getting readings, maybe working with therapists. I mean, maybe you're brand new to this, but the point is that you probably are coming to this with quite a bit of information about yourself. As you know, I'm a big fan of information. I love it. And I have loved it since I was a kid. There's no system, no personality test, no anything that I probably haven't taken. And if I have and I come across it, then I love to take it because I'm so curious. I love learning about myself. But that ultimately is information, right? And so we've accumulated this large amount of information about ourselves. And so we may be extremely self aware, right? But again, the difference here is like self awareness will say, I know what I'm experiencing in the midst of something, versus self trust, which says, I believe what I am experiencing. it feels kind of nuanced, but it's actually kind of huge, right? The mind says, I know, and the heart says, I believe. And a really good example about how this kind of shows up, right? It's like I was listening to this podcaster. She's also a channel, and primarily what she does is she chooses a different topic for every episode, and then she channels and shares like 5 to 7 messages about this topic. And she says, like, tune into your intuition to see which one's right for you. And sometimes I listen to this podcast and I really enjoy it. And, oftentimes it's like there's all this information pouring through me, but it doesn't stay with me because it's in my head. Even if it's something that, like, sends me off on a wild goose chase, that's rare. What it ultimately does is it just kind of fills my head with information. And then I noticed this the other day because I walked away from this podcast and I'm like, what did she say? I don't even really know what she said, right? It's information. It's not moving through me. It's not moving through my heart. It's not something that I'm experiencing, right? Working in the Akashic records for me is very like, it's the total opposite, because regardless of whether I'm asking about something that's perhaps more practical or even silly versus, asking about like a really intense something, a situation in my life, when that information flows through me, there is such an alignment there, such an embodiment, such a knowing. It's like, I believe this with my entire being. So I walk away. And even though I may not remember every single word, I remember what this did and how this moved through me. There's a huge difference in just knowing ourselves from an intellectual perspective and really, really being able to trust our experiences and trust what it is that moves through us. Number 2, you were taught that other people know better than you. This is something I've been talking a lot about lately because it's so huge. And I just don't think that we give ourselves enough grace in this regard. Literally from day one on this planet, we were taught to look to other people. We were taught that other people know more than us. We were taught that we're supposed to look one way and do one thing and, all of this stuff. And it's not necessarily that our friends and family or coaches or spiritual guides aren't of assistance to us and can't be incredible blessings in our life. The problem becomes when we believe that their knowing is better than our own, right? It carries more weight. When it's like, oh, okay, well, the preacher said this, or my spiritual guide said this, but it doesn't really resonate with me. But I'm just going to believe them. Like, no. If you've worked with me, and especially my mentorship clients really know this, even if I say something and they don't agree with it, like, I'm like, trust that. And I have told my Akashic students the same. Like, even if the Akasha shares something with you and it doesn't really feel right for you, like, trust that. Even to the point where in my own personal relationship with God, if God is like, Anna, I want you to do this, and I'm like, no, that doesn't feel right, I'm going to say it. I'm going to lean into that, because we are the ones that are ultimately responsible for our lifetime. And we need to make those decisions. We need to build that internal trust within ourselves, right? But everything in this world wants us to look outside of ourselves. And we were taught from day one to do that, to look for confirmation outside of ourselves, no matter what it is, whether it's, oh, my body's feeling poorly, maybe I'm sick, or, oh, my relationship's falling apart, so I need to go talk to someone else about it. It's like, like, again, not that these things can't be beneficial, but we need to make sure that we're checking in with ourselves first and foremost, right? Number 3, you've been taught to question your own experience. And this is something, again, that I don't think we really fully realize, and this goes back to early days, and when the kid walks out, it's like, Mom, I'm hungry. And the mom's like, no, you're not. Or, Mom, I'm not feeling good. No, you're not. Right. And so if you're a child and you do have these inclinations to be tired, to be hungry, whatever the case may be, and someone outside of you that you consider to be more educated, more knowledgeable than you disagrees with you, then you start to tell yourself, oh, wait a minute. No, I'm not, right? I mean, how many times have you been told in your life, that's not what happened? You're overreacting. You're being too sensitive. You're making too much of this. You shouldn't feel that way. You're fine. You're just fine, right? um, I don't know about you, but like I've been told that a lot. I'm extremely sensitive. I have a lot of feelings. I have a lot of emotions. I'm a very strong person. And yet I have been gaslit so many times, and not necessarily on purpose, but you know what I'm saying? We've all been there, right? And so we eventually start doing that to ourselves. You know, our back starts hurting and we're like, it's fine, no problem. Or maybe like this one happens to me a lot. I'm sitting at my desk and I'm working away and I'm like in the zone and my body's like, I need a break. And I'm like, you're good. Body's like, no, I need a break, woman. And I'm like, you're fine. And then all of a sudden it's like my head goes sideways and things get blurry and it's like, oh, I need to eat. Right? We do this to ourselves. We think, oh, I'm overreacting. I'm being too sensitive. Oh my gosh, I'm afraid. I'm sabotaging myself, right? Sometimes self-doubt is a habit of arguing with our own experience. And I want to say that one more time for you because this is like kind of the crux of this issue here, right? Sometimes self-doubt is the habit of arguing with your own experience. When you can trust yourself, you trust, okay, my body says it's hungry. That means I need to stop and I need to eat something. Or, oh, hey, I'm getting this pain in my side. And again, it's not like we have to freak out over these things. We don't have to make a big deal, but like, let's take a moment, close our eyes, place hands on our body. Hey, what are you trying to share with me right now? Right. But because we have been told constantly that what we're feeling, what we're seeing, and what we're experiencing is wrong, we struggle with trusting ourselves, right? And number 4, and this is kind of a spiritual development can make all of this worse, right? Okay, let me like really look at my notes right now because this is I want to make sure I don't go off on a tangent because I got lots of tangents when it comes to the spiritual community and certainly spiritual development and the way in which it's looked, right? So you have learned so many different frameworks of interpreting yourself. I know I have as well. You know, I love astrology, I love human design. I've got a number of modalities underneath my belt because I'm such a big word, right? So but when something doesn't feel right, you know, you kind of start stepping into these like, is this fear? Is it ego, trauma, inner child, all these things, right? Like our intuition, our nervous system, you know, it's like a really big one right now. But these can become new avenues for distrusting ourselves. And this is something that's kind of insidious and it's harder to recognize. But again, I wanted to talk about it because if you're tuning into my podcast, then you're in the self-development world, the spiritual world. And again, you're taught to consider yourself through all of these different frameworks, which they can be amazing. They can be wonderful, right? But it has to come back to you because they can become new ways of distrusting yourself. You know, I have a friend of mine who put out this post about why getting stuck in freeze is actually a really important place for the body to be. But if you listen to sort of like the typical rhetoric that's online right now, it's like, oh, freeze state. Like, how do you get yourself out of freeze state? You don't want to get stuck in freeze state. Like, this is a negative thing. But again, what my friend talked about, which I love so much, was more so that like freeze is wanting to get our attention, really wanting us to become front and center with what it is that's going on so that we can actually notice, so that we can make a decision from that point that will be of assistance to us. It's not about this, like all this nervous system, all this attachment, all these things, right? We ultimately just have to come back to the basics. And the basics are about being able to tune into ourselves, our own guidance, our own divine wisdom that is within, and then understanding how to move through it, right? Because we have to understand what is within us first and foremost. without throwing it into all of these different frameworks. And so again, just the very simple example of like, oh, I'm getting sick. I think I'm starting to get sick. So maybe you ask a friend, like, is there anything going around right now? Or maybe you jump onto Google and like put your symptoms in. But again, what if you just tuned into your body? Hey, are you getting sick? What do you need from me right now? Like, is everything okay? It is so simple, and yet we make it so complicated. And while we love these modalities and they can assist us in so many ways, we have to make sure that we are not allowing them to override the information that is within us, right? Number 5, you think trust requires certainty. And this is our big one. This is our banger, right? You think trust requires certainty. And that is simply because, again, so much of this world has taught us that we need to know the answer. And ultimately, it's really about wanting to be safe, wanting to be okay, wanting to ensure that whatever decision it is going to lead us into the best possible way. But if the last several years have taught you nothing else, it's that nothing in life is certain. There's no relationship, there's no job, there's ultimately no decision that you can make that is 100% guaranteed. And if you are someone who's going to sit around and wait until you feel certain about something, well, my friend, you are going to be sitting around a lot of your life. Self-trust, remember, is knowing that I can take care of myself if something doesn't work out. Self-trust is knowing, is believing that whatever happens, I will remain with myself. I will be okay. I will get through this. If we wait until we're certain to marry someone or to, like, again, we're just going to do you want to spend your life living, or do you want to spend your life waiting, trying to be certain? As an entrepreneur in the entrepreneurial community, something that's spoken about all the time is the ability to just make decisions and then just deal with whatever consequences come. And that, like, waiting to make a decision is like the death of your business, is the death of your project, is the death of whatever. And I can tell you that that is so true from such personal hands-on experience. I'm a third line in human design. And so I'm a trailblazer, and I jump off cliffs and I take all kinds of risks. And I have paid some pretty big prices in my life. But I got to tell you, I've had some pretty epic adventures along the way. And the places where I've messed up are the places where I have been humbled, where I have gained more compassion, where I have now can turn those experiences into mirrors for the people that I get to work with. And I can say, I understand what you're going through. Every bit of life serves us, the beautiful times and the challenging times. And this idea that we have to be certain about things and we have to be right is always something that is going to undermine our ability to have self-trust. Because ultimately, and this is what we're really going to be getting into in that next episode, self-trust comes through making the decisions, experiencing the outcome, and continuing to pick ourselves up and move forward. And this is huge. And I can't wait to dive into that topic with you. Maybe you still don't trust yourself because you've spent your entire life being taught to question yourself. And simply becoming more self-aware cannot undo that conditioning. And that is why understanding, first and foremost, why you struggle with self-trust is so important. And then also understanding how to flip that script. So I hope you have enjoyed today's conversation around self-trust. And I hope you learned a little something new about your ability to trust yourself. If self-trust is something you are wanting to cultivate more in your life, then of course, I recommend the Akashic Records, who I believe to be are the greatest tool for self-empowerment. My big 10-week course, Access Your Akashic Soul, is kicking off the first week of October. The waiting list is open and available. Understand that there are limited seats because you get beautiful personalized attention within this course, but there's going to be so much more coming forward for you in the weeks ahead to learn about it and hopefully to make that decision to open up this relationship within yourself. Thank you again for being here. I pray that it served. Please share it with someone else who can benefit from it. And don't forget, when we invest in ourselves, the world benefits. Until next time.